during my undergrads, everyone was like history, 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 and even in masters, everything is history. I mean, there were like some people who came from different backgrounds, but most of them came from social science background. Hardly anyone came from uh, other backgrounds. But in this right now in UFP, it's just so diverse because we have like planners, we have a lawyer, and we also have a doctor and an engineer and even an architect and I mean, what more can I ask for? And we also have a sociologist, an anthropologist, political scientist. So it's just so diverse for me, and I'm just loving it. Everyone has their own way of teaching. I really like Sudeshna's because she's more of a theorist. She focused more on the theory. She told us like to read this, this, this. So when I'm reading her papers, I'm exposed to lots of papers in the urban. So it's like for me, I have never got to read what a planner reads in their life. But then when I try to read her paper, I get to understand. Okay, so this is what a planner is reading. This is what a theory on space is like, or theory on time is like. So attending for all these classes make me think, sit back in my room and just read about all these books. Not the books, but the articles. I mean, there are some books she has given, but then hardly have time to read all those books. But the short, short articles, when we read it, it's like the plant city, the space, everything. I mean, I enjoyed her class. And so the way Sudeshna and Gautam, there's this professor called Gautam. So when I attend his class, it's so amazing because I can imagine in his class, like, my head runs not wild, but it just runs in all this branches form. So I really like the way he teaches because he just let us imagine, like let us think and theorize and just think. So the way Sudeshna and Gautam teachers are like in a very different forms, in very different formats, but I really enjoyed their classes. And I really love that they're so opening. Like they're just always available, not available, but just ready to help us when we need them. And yeah. So it's like I have never been exposed to this observation skill set thing. All I do is like we just go, when I was doing my academical training in history, we just go back to the room and just read and just read and just read and read papers and papers, and that feels like an achievement, like it's just like you just keep on reading. But then when we go to this field, we just get to get the first hand experience. I mean, the thing that you get from reading book, the feeling is a different thing. But then when you go to the site and get the first hand experience of what you're getting out of it, it just feels so accomplished and it just feels so satisfied. And when you know the people and when you just study the small neighborhood or the small streets and the small lane, it's like you can just get a whole narrative out of it. Like even the whole set of narrative can just be a very complex historical, cultural or social understanding of that area. My life in IH is also hectic. That's the one word I have. Like, who comes to who comes to the building at like 9 and goes back at 7? So we have like this 9 to 7 job kind of a thing. And since we are staying a bit far from the campus, it's like the long bus travel. It's just too much for us. But then I'm not trying to romanticize it also. But then it's the bus rides, right? Like the shaky bus rides. Those things are like what urbanists should do. Like you should just get the experience. And when you travel for long distance, you. So before I never thought I just sit on the bus, simply sat there and just let the time go away, or just listen to music, or just do something with it. But I think coming to IHS, what had changed in myself internally is that I started to observe the roads, the buildings, and how many streetlights are there in that particular road. And so that is the one thing that I have. I don't think unconsciously, I think I'm just observing all those things, and I was like, oh, this road does not make sense. It should have been done this way. I mean, I'm not trying to say that it should be done this way, but those things are like what I think internally gained from IUBFP.